Alright, so let's review last night's episode of Monday Night Raw, April the 9th, 2012. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the review space, and so here we go. Number one, the first segment, Brock Lesnar and John Cena have a brawl in the middle of the ring, and this was basically a continuation from last week's episode, the ending of when Brock Lesnar did the F5 to Cena. And so they get into this kind of a I mean, I don't know what you want to call it, schmaz or whatever you want to call it. Just a big brawl where everybody, in the locker room came out and tried to pull them apart, and then they try to, continue to fight each other. Cena ended up getting a busted lip, I think, by an apparent punch to his face from Brock Lesnar's takedown, and then he socked him right in the face. So, I mean, the blood was interesting. I thought it added a sense of grittiness to this budding feud, and I think that sort of gave the feeling of this feud like, whoa, now there's a new dimension. Like, wow, it's actually a bit more violent, and I think they needed this. They needed some kind of blood, some kind of gritty aspect to this thing, because they want to give credibility to Brock Lesnar as a real tough guy, as a real fighter. This guy's just coming from the UFC, a legit combat sports organization, and so Cena has to. I don't know if that was a real punch, if that was a legit potato to the face, but he definitely got he got busted up pretty good. Huh. All right, second segment, we got Brodus and Santino in a tag match against Dolph Ziggler and Swagger. Brodus and Santino go over, with Mr. Brodus Clay getting the pinfall, and it's an interesting tag dynamic. I mean, I think that both of them are kind of silly, goofy, comedic characters. Brodus is pretty over with the crowd. I think the crowd likes him, and they were definitely chanting his name in the Washington arena, and hey, Brodus is on the rise, and I think this guy has the potential to be IC champion somewhere down the road. I don't know what they're doing with Ziggler and Swagger, though. It's just, I don't know. I think that these guys need to be split apart. They really have nothing for them, though, which I can understand why they're still together. They're not going after the world titles. These guys are former world champions, and yet they stay on the undercard / mid card, which is just head-shakingly, Number 3, we got Cody Rhodes against R-Truth. Basically, Big Show came out again. He distracted Cody by showing last week's footage of Cody Rhodes being distracted. Truth hits the Little Jimmy finisher, and he wins. Is it going to affect Cody Rhodes? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think this is just the fact that Show and Cody are still feuding is kind of drawn out. It just feels like, okay, why are they still at each other's throats? No idea. I think that it's kind of, it's drawn out. This has to end, and Cody has to move on. But hey, we got a backstage segment with the Three Stooges, which is the a movie promo for the upcoming film. I guess it comes out this Friday, April 13th. It was nice to see Will Sasso on TV again, particularly in a wrestling program. Back in the 90s, or the late 90s, he appeared on Mad TV. He was on Mad TV, but he appeared in WCW with his feud with Bret Hart. So, and it's just kind of interesting to see him again. This guy, I haven't seen him since the Mad TV days, and my only problem was that, you have the Three Stooges, and like 90% of the crowd don't know who they are or just don't care. There's like no reaction to these guys. I mean, we are so many generations far removed from the original Three Stooges TV show that a lot of the young fans especially just don't give a crap about the fucking Three Stooges. Like, I'm sorry, but nobody cares. I mean, they're doing their little slapstick and their humor, and they're slapping each other and doing their trademark sounds and catchphrases and this, the kind of the hijinks that they're doing. I mean, I remember the Three Stooges as a kid. I watched the reruns. Mind you, this was back in the early '90s. They showed reruns, and this was the original black and white Three Stooges, and it was old then. You know what I mean? Growing up, I couldn't really talk about Three Stooges with anybody. Nobody watched it in the late '90s. Like, it was old then, and nobody really knew about it. They heard about it, like, oh, Three Stooges, and it had the reputation of being this, I guess, old comedy show, but you know what I mean? Like, just don't nobody care about Three Stooges anymore. And I think it's the style of comedy, that slapstick, slapping each other, and the catchphrases and the little quirky things they would say, and just, it's kind of hacky now. That slapstick comedy it's like, what a bunch of hacks. It's hack comedy, meaning that it's been done forever, and nobody thinks it's innovative. It's nothing new. It's nothing fresh. It's very outdated humor. It's outdated comedy. It's unfortunate to say, but that's what it is. Nobody cares about that comedy anymore. It's just that yuck, physical comedy. That post Charlie Chaplin fucking. It's just nobody cares about that physical humor anymore. Alright, okay, Lord Tensai squashing Yoshitatsu. And nobody reacted. He gave him a power bomb just like last week to his jobber of the week. I guess that's his gimmick, is that he's knocking out people with a power bomb, and the guy just he can't wrestle anymore. The crowd was just very uninterested. They just didn't care. And except for the fact that they chanted Albert and A-Train, obviously going back to the original name that Lord Tensai had in the WWE, they just didn't care. Like, nobody reacted. I felt the crowd was very disinterested. They were very disconnected with this match. They just didn't care. And it was very, very disappointing to see. It was almost an abortion of a match, because just nobody cared about it. It's not like it was a horrible match. Like, Lord Tensai did some, he was fairly athletic for his size, but it felt like nobody cared about this entire match. I don't know what it was. Alright, we got a segment with CM Punk and Chris Jericho. They had an exchange, a promo. CM Punk and Chris Jericho had to really rely on their mic skills to keep this drawn-out feud going, because this is a very freaking tired feud by now. I don't think people care about this match anymore. Nobody wants to see this match keep going and prolong. The entire... I don't know. I don't know what it is about the Washington crowd this week, but they just didn't care. They seemed so disinterested and disconnected. They were so fucking almost disrespectful at times, where they were booing, they were chanting other names, and they just didn't care about a lot of things this week. And even the CM Punk and Jericho, they tried. You can tell they wanted to keep people watching. They had to use whatever they had in their mic skills to keep people interested. But it's the feud itself, I think. The feud itself just sucks, because this should have ended at WrestleMania 28. Their match at Mania 28 should have been the final thing. It should have been the finale, the closure, the ending. Yet they keep going. And Jericho ended up pouring alcohol and beer over CM Punk's body, and it was just very drawn out. Nobody cared about this particular segment. It was incredibly tedious to watch. CM Punk against Mark Henry right after this. Yeah, I should have mentioned that CM Punk and Mark Henry had a match right after the little segment, and then Mark Henry slammed CM Punk twice with a World's Strongest Slam, and then Jericho poured the beer on CM Punk. He attacked him and all that. So, okay, Zack Ryder against Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio wins. What do you expect? It was a squash match. Okay, and then we have Three Stooges, and this was the final, the actual main movie promo segment. Will Sasso coming out impersonating Hulk Hogan. He did the Hulk Hogan voice. You know something, brother? I can't do it, but it was. I think Will Sasso tried. He's a really funny dude. I've seen him on Mad TV. He's hilarious. But he just couldn't carry the segment. The crowd wasn't into it. They weren't buying the comedy. They just weren't feeling it. They couldn't get into it. The crowd was booing. They were very disinterested, if that's even a word. I'm sorry. They just couldn't care about the fucking Three Stooges. Nobody gives a fuck about the Three Stooges. Not in 2012. Nobody cares anymore. Because the thing is, there's no TV show, there's no cartoon, there's no video game, there's no media tie-in. There's nothing that made people think like, wow, this should be a movie now. Except for like maybe the original fans of the original black and white. Nobody cares. They're not relevant anymore. Three Stooges are not culturally relevant in 2012. They're has-beens. They're outdated. It's like this post-depression humor. This post... yeah, I mean, it's just Depression-era type humor, and nobody cares anymore. My God. Kane came out, and Kane's job throughout his career was basically to destroy celebrity guest stars, and he's sort of the guy, the anti-mainstream, I guess. I mean, commercial appearance. I don't know what this guy. Anyway, he slammed Will Sasso. He gave him a choke slam, and that was pretty much it. I think the crowd was happy that the Three Stooges segment was done. Okay, we have Brock Lesnar doing a backstage interview. He said he was proud of coming back, and he disrespected John Cena, of course, and he was proud of destroying Cena, and I'm proud of being back, and he's a bona fide heel now. He's definitely a heel. He's aligned himself with John Laurinaitis, and apparently they're gonna have a match at the Extreme Rules. Yes. Okay, and the main event was David Otunga against John Cena. John Cena wins, but he gets low-blowed from behind by Brock Lesnar. And so this just adds more fuel to the fire in this feud, I guess. And then Brock Lesnar, he hoists up John Cena again, and Cena eats another F5. Wow. Cena's down and incapacitated, and Brock Lesnar looking dominant over John Cena. The crowd boos Brock Lesnar, and it is what it is. Overall, I was very disappointed with this Raw. I thought it was incredibly tedious. A lot of boring segments that I didn't care for, especially the Three Stooges stuff, the CM Punk Jericho stuff. It was very, very lackluster episode. I just couldn't get into it. I think because coming down from a very high episode last week, and last week was just the post-WrestleMania episode, and it was so exciting, and the buzz after Mania, and it was just like, whoa, and then Brock Lesnar coming out, and it's like, whoa, that was so exciting. They had to follow that up, and they couldn't follow through. They just couldn't do it. In a PG-era episode, in a PG-era environment, in this PG era, they couldn't book it to be exciting because they were stuck with this Hollywood-style, soap opera-style, non-pro wrestling, non-simplified way of building up feuds. They had to draw out the CM Punk. They had to draw out a lot of the segments. They had to include stupid stuff like Three Stooges, stuff that nobody cares about. And the crowd was so, I think, very disappointed with this episode. It felt like they wanted to cheer back like the Attitude Era. They wanted to get into it. They wanted to pop for something so amazing inside the ring, but they just, for whatever reason, they couldn't connect with it. It was too safe. It was too corny. It was too. It sucked. It was a really shitty episode. I'm sorry. It was crappy. I don't know if I'll do a review next week. I mean, this might be my final Raw review. I don't feel interested in watching next episode. And I saw this coming from last week. I knew this was going to happen. We're going to, instead of going high and building it up and the product getting better and better and better, it just sort of came down because it doesn't feel exciting anymore. Even Brock Lesnar doesn't feel exciting. He just feels like this new monster, and he's kind of the next stepping stone for John Cena. Like, John Cena's going to face up against him. I wouldn't be surprised if Cena loses at Extreme Rules and puts over Lesnar, because I think Lesnar needs a big win at this point, but it just doesn't feel important. The feuds don't feel important. Nothing feels prestigious. The titles don't feel prestigious. The guest appearances are stupid. Nothing feels important in WWE anymore. When The Rock left, it was gone. It was done. This episode was a complete fail, in my opinion. It was just a botch from beginning. And then you have the Lord Tensai crap. Lord Tensai and Yoshitatsu. And Yoshi, you know, people doing the hashtag Save Yoshi thing from last week, and it was just, he's a really good in-ring performer. I like Yoshi. I've always been a Yoshi fan since like 2009 when he was on ECW, but this guy hasn't been pushed, so nobody cared about him. And then you have Lord Tensai, who's this returning A-Train. He's very, very slow in the ring, and it's just, this entire episode was a complete fail. I can't watch this crap anymore. So if I don't do a review next week or ever, or in a really long time, you know why. That's it for this episode of Review Space. Very disappointing episode of Raw. That's all I can say. So that's it. Ciao.